Greg Gutfeld. Before I start this video, I just want y'all to know I've never taken Greg Gutfeld seriously, and honestly, to me, the dude's damn near a fucking clown.
As I said before when this started, we want the quickest end possible. My concern has always been when a narrative creates a story that bolsters one side that is out of its element, will you create more suffering? That was the simple point I'm making, is that could this have been prevented if there was a reality-based decision made and not the David and Goliath narrative, which could prolong this and lead to more suffering and more humanitarian crisis?
Truth is an absolute defense.
Yeah, two sides. What two sides? You've got Putin who attacked Ukraine.
Yes.
What are the two sides? Is it justified?
Do you have time? Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to stick to the simplicity of your
Oh, you mean there's some justification for the attack by Russia on Ukraine?
This is the problem. This is the problem.
Okay.
You can't actually talk substance about this.
Nah, your eyes didn't just deceive you. You did watch Janine and Greg damn near go at each other's head on national television. Which is interesting because it gives insight into the fact that not all employees at Fox feel the same way about the situation concerning Ukraine. Moreover, it gives us this whiplash-like reminder. It gives us such a whiplash reminder because it's very rare that you see a tiny, let's just call it just a tiny chink in the armor of the mainstream media. A tiny chink in this steel that makes up the weapons of the mainstream media that deals out the damage of bias selling, the selling of our biases to us by the mainstream media, and the sword of divisiveness, the weaponry of divisiveness, the attack of divisiveness against the American people. That was an interesting chink to see in the armor of the mainstream media. I had to fix my thing up real quick. Fox News. Now, the sheer partisanship that has taken place between the left and the right throughout this whole, really, let's call it the Trump era. Since 2015, 2016, the sheer level of partisanship and just tribal, clannish nature between the two sides has been unforeseen in quite some time. And it's yielded entertaining, disappointing, depressing, and sometimes, enthralling events throughout this whole 6 to 7 year span. Now, with Fox News, though, the partisanship has taken an interesting turn to where Fox News is now almost pro-Russia. Here's a clip from Tucker Carlson. Take a look.
What is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Has he shipped every middle-class job in my town to Russia? Did he manufacture a worldwide pandemic that wrecked my business and kept me indoors for 2 years? Is he teaching my children to embrace racial discrimination? Is he making fentanyl? Is he trying to snuff out Christianity? Does he eat dogs? These are fair questions, and the answer to all of them is no. Vladimir Putin didn't do any of that.
So basically, Fox was defending the invasion of Ukraine, testing the waters to see how the world would react. How would NATO react? How would the United States react? How would the world react to the invasion of Ukraine? And the entire world went gold and blue for a month now. Honestly, the entire world has gone yellow and blue for a month. The entire world stands behind Ukraine. And Fox News wasn't necessarily sure as to whether that was going to happen or not. But they tested the waters with Tucker. And Tucker came out and he said what he had to say about Putin. He came out and he said what he had to say about basically Biden's current nemesis, other than Trump. They want to make Biden look as incompetent as possible, which he already does a good job of doing all on his own. But Fox was so caught up in its own partisanship that it couldn't see past the suffering of the people of Ukraine and got up in front of the entire country, not just the entire country, but the entire world, and defended the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So much so that a Russian broadcasting network took the clip of Tucker talking, put Russian subtitles underneath it, and put it up for the Russian people to see. on TV. So you know for a fact that when the other country takes your clip and is confident enough in its support of what they're doing, they're so confident in what your clip supports that they're willing to put subtitles underneath it and throw it in the face of their people. One must ask, whose side are you really on? Whose side is Fox News truly on? Now they've backpedaled. Now they've taken steps back because they see that the world is completely against this invasion. Completely against it. And what's of the most importance here is understanding the fact that things have gone way too far now. Way too far. In the realm of almost treason, in my mind. Things have gone way too far with that Tucker clip, where he lists a host of reasons for why Putin isn't a bad guy or a guy that we shouldn't trust. All while he's amassing these troops around this sovereign nation, a nation that wants to enter into NATO, a nation that wants Western protection and support. And instead of giving them that support, instead of standing by them in the face of invasion, and the stripping of their democracy, the stripping of their homes, the stripping of their culture, Fox News and Tucker Carlson decides, well, what's bad for Biden is good for all of us. So let's spin the narrative, make Russia seem like the victims when they're not being invaded, and Ukraine is. Let's spin the narrative because it makes Biden look bad at the end. The destination is making Biden look bad at all costs. That's why Greg was sitting there arguing that we're somehow spinning a narrative and we're making it seem like these people are the victims when we're not giving the full picture. The full picture of what? Clown, this fool. Sitting talking about the full picture. The one moment he's not trying to make jokes and clown about all damn day like a court jester, he says something absolutely retarded, which is sad. The one time you're not joking, you say something that's retarded. How is that even possible? I've seen Greg joke around my whole life. He never stops telling jokes. It's gross. It's just gross to watch a grown man try to tell jokes 24/7. It's gross. It's lame. It's corny. And then when you finally open your mouth to spew an opinion with some seriousness behind it, some genuine seriousness behind it, you say something so stupid as to insinuate that the Ukrainian people are somehow or another the antagonists of the story. And we're just not getting it from both angles, both sides. These guys are so in their own pockets that they're willing to say, screw America, Putin is paying us good money, so we're going to ride with Putin. He's putting this money in our pockets, getting us rich, which I firmly believe that's the only reason why he's trying to ride for these people the way he's trying to ride, is because he's probably being paid. He's going to ride for Putin and friends because he believes there's something to gain for that, for him financially, personally. Because the reality is, Fox News claims to be so pro-America, so in love with America, and yet you're sitting here trying to defend a leader who would see our democracies corrupted by his influence. You're sitting here trying to defend a leader who interferes in our elections all the time. You're sitting here defending a leader who's mad at a sovereign nation wanting to join NATO and be up with the big dogs, up with America. You're mad about them wanting to team up with us. Explain that. Pro-America, explain that. Fox News, they can't. A very interesting turn for Fox News. And what's even more disturbing is the fact that Greg Gutfeld called the reporting by one of Fox News' own reporters disingenuous. He made it seem like the Ukrainian people were basically just making it all up. The mainstream media was just making it seem like it's just not that bad. People being invaded and shot and killed and blown the fuck up and turned to bits and pink mist, not that bad. He went on to degrade the work of one of their journalists, Benjamin Hall, making it seem like the journalists on the ground watching the death and the suffering are just making it all up. Now, one of Fox News journalists has been killed. Pierre Zargzewski. Pierre Zargzewski, I believe. I probably said the name wrong. Was killed today. He was recently killed. And the fact that Fox News could come out and be so pro-Russia while putting its own boots on the ground with people watching this pain and misery and suffering, and one of their own guys being killed and Benjamin Hall being injured. The fact that Greg could sit there and say that is disturbing and interesting, and it just goes to show how deep the partisanship has gotten between both sides, to where Greg is willing to see his fellow employees, his colleagues, being wounded, killed. He gets to see people, forget the colleagues and friends, he gets to see the people of Ukraine being wounded, killed, displaced, forced from their homes. He's living in the American privilege bubble, where he underestimates the pain and confusion of warfare. He's so used to this that he can't conceive of anything different possibly being any worse than what he already knows. And as a result, he degraded the work of one of his own journalists and degraded the suffering and experiences of the Ukrainian people. All for what? A nation that is against yours. A leader who is against your country. A leader who is against your alliance. A leader who wants to see your nation's dominion over this world overthrown. And you want to come out and you want to defend him.